looking at the surface area of cylinders. And cylinders can be a little bit tricky because they have what's called a curved surface area. So when you take the net of a cylinder, you essentially have two circles and then a rectangular shape. But that rectangular shape isn't a perfect rectangle. The length of the top of the rectangle is equal to the circumference of the circle. So you can't take the diameter as your width. You have to take the full circumference and make it the width of the rectangle. And then the height of the cylinder can be the height or the length of your rectangle. So essentially you have two parts. You have the circle ends and then the curved surface rectangle. Okay, and for this question, we're only going to do one practice question here, but we have both ends sealed. So if this is a can of baked beans, both circles have their lids on. However, sometimes you'll be given a question where the lid is off, in which case you will not have to calculate the surface area of one of the ends. Sometimes you have a question where the cylinder is actually more of a tunnel or a pipe, in which case you'll have no ends. So then you only need to calculate the curved surface of the cylinder and leave the two circles out. So pay particular attention to the picture and to the question as to whether you need to include both circles, just one circle, or only the curved surface area of the rectangular section. For this one though, we need all three parts. So there's our net, as you can see. Here is our question, and for the surface area of a cylinder, we have a formula that is broken up into two parts. We have two circles here. So we know the area of a circle is found by multiplying pi times the radius squared. Pi r squared is the area formula for one circle. We have two circles. So it's going to be 2 times pi r squared. That is for the circle ends. Then we have the curved surface rectangle. And because it's a rectangle, a lot of students think is length times width, and they use the diameter. They multiply the radius by 2, they use the diameter as width, but that is wrong because remember, this wraps the whole way around the can, like that. So the length of the rectangle is equal to the diameter of the circumference of the circle. So to find that out, we use 2 times pi times the radius, 2 pi r. 2 pi r, remember, from when we did perimeter and circumference of circles, 2 pi r is the formula for the circumference of a circle. So that's essentially our length, and then we're going to multiply by the height of the cylinder, so in this case 25, and that's essentially the width. Okay, so that's where our rectangular form comes in. So that's for the curved surface. So now we substitute in what we know. So the surface area is equal to 2 pi r squared. So 2 times pi times 5 squared plus 2 times pi times 5 times 25 as our height. Okay, you can type all that into your calculator as one. I'm going to do it in sections. So 2 times pi times 5 squared is 157.079. I'll go 3 decimal places now, and then I'll round to 2 decimal places at the end because that's what the question asked for. Doing it this way just lets you be a little more accurate with the end result. If you start rounding 2 decimal places there, then you might be off by 1 decimal place at the end. And the curved surface area is 2 times pi times 5 times 25 is 785.390. Sorry, 398. Okay, add the two together. You get 942.477. So then rounding to two decimal places is 942.48 meters squared. And that is how you calculate the surface area of a cylinder.